Filipinos are actually they can be really rude and really angry.
Yeah.
We're not subservient or polite all the time. Yeah. It's something that we had to learn to survive. But because we were from Southeast, we assimilated and became white together.
Became
Yeah. It is. And then it was... we became white. We honestly did.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kwentuhang Creative Podcast. My name is Keshi and sitting next to me is Teresa, a multidisciplinary creative. Yay!
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for driving all the way here. You said you got lost a little bit.
Yeah.
How was that?
I think as soon as you go over the West Gate, there's too many ways to go west side.
Yeah.
So I missed the ring road and then there was an accident. So for me to get back onto the ring road, I have to go through Laverton and there was another accident.
Oh my god.
And then you have to go onto the Ballarat exit.
Yeah, you can.
I missed that exit, so I had to go to another exit and then I think I was somewhere else. And then I had to get back onto another freeway. And then before I got here, there were all these signs for cheap fruit. And I got kilos of cherries and mangoes and peaches for $50.
Mm-hmm. Like for that whole box.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Punnets of strawberries. Yeah.
Cool.
And I had two because of cost of living.
Yeah. Do you get to choose like different fruits or is it?
Oh, it was just what was there. I also got grapes. The only thing I didn't get was tomatoes. I should have got them.
Yeah.
They were $3 for like a kilo bag.
Tomatoes can be like very expensive sometimes. But yeah, you went on an adventure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't blame you because I still get lost. Because before it like the road to Ballarat looks different before, and then when they sort of fixed it, it looks way more confusing now for me at least.
Well, and Google tells me too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like it's not updated, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I haven't seen you in a while, I think. Last time I saw you was
At Tito Alfred's.
the Pangkat Sining, which is in, I forgot which month was it. But it's been a long time. How have you been so far?
Oh,
What were you
when
up
was
to?
that? Had I already made my film or was I in pre-production?
I think we watched your...
Oh, that's the previous film.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say it must have been before September.
Probably.
Yeah, so
So you have a new film?
Yeah, so I was in pre-production in September. We shot at the end of September and beginning of October. And we're in post-production and we're trying to... I've already started submitting it to festivals, but we're trying to finalise it.
Oh, yeah, the one for your uni work?
Yeah, for capstone,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And what was that about?
It's Flaccid. It's a cine essay on... how do I say it? It's a cine essay on if the patriarchy went flaccid or surrendered. So the cine essay is a fusion of art house and I guess poetic documentary. I was really inspired by Agnes Varda. And yeah, that's what I can say for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to that. I hope I can watch it in in one of the festivals. So I guess now that we're talking about filmmaking, I don't think I've asked you this before, but how did you start or working in filmmaking?
Getting into film?
Yeah, getting into film.
Oh, this is a big one. And it ties into my Filipino-ness.
Yeah. It's always like a...
Yeah, so ever since I was little, the thing I wanted to do was sing. Mm-hmm. And that was the journey that I went on until I was, I guess, early 20s. I gave up. And I was doing opera at the time. Oh. So my teacher at the time was like, I think you need to try acting. I'm like, okay. I'll just wind it back a few steps. So with singing, I was having issues with my vocal cords. And a lot of my teachers were like, you need to go to a speech pathologist. You need to check your vocal cords. And I had no idea what was happening. But there was a lot of tightness in my throat that was stopping me from singing, and I was doing it for VCE, but yeah, the feedback was you need to go get your voice checked, and I did all that, and they were like, your voice is fine, and so I kind of just gave up on singing. I loved opera because my voice was so wide, and I moved into acting, and I think it was because they wanted me to learn how to express myself more. With singing, it was so much more of a personal, intimate experience of expression, while with acting, I think what the guidance was is that I needed to learn how to tell story through my body and maybe my face.
Yeah.
So I went to acting school. So this was 2011. And that was really fun. I've always been a really theatrical kid, but because my focus was music, I just ignored drama. I was really confident on stage easily, and I'm a bit of a clown, so I love making people laugh. I fell into, I guess, method acting schools, which becomes quite an analysis of your own background and kind of like therapy. I hope I'm making sense. They're really looking at how you can mine your own personal life to tell story authentically on stage or on screen, and that's problematic in its own process, because people can get really stuck into really getting into some dark places to be authentic on screen, and it becomes really self-indulgent. But going through that process actually helped me, because I'm going to relate it back to my Filipino-ness. My mum was very religious. I say was because she's got Alzheimer's, so I speak of her in past tense, but she's still alive. And it was instilled in me to be very well-behaved and proper. And as an artist, that means sometimes suppressing yourself and the things that my impulse wants to do. I have this automatic, like, shh, you gotta stay still, you gotta behave, you've got to look like a good girl. And acting school made me undo all of that. So I got an agent, and I kept getting sent to commercials, and I hated it, because I'm like, I'm not doing this to do commercials or sell cars or be that token face for diversity. I'm not a model. I want to tell story. And that whole process, even with teachers, started to make me realize they don't know how to guide me as a Filipino body in how to tell my own story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I say does that make sense a lot, because sometimes I don't make sense. So what kept being told to me was like, you have to write your own stories. It was really hard for me to be given plays or characters who were white, because in my mind I would have to do these mental gymnastic things to be like, okay, how do I put myself in this character if their lived experience isn't what my body represents? And that's a lot. And teachers don't know how to deal with that if they're not of colour. The only teachers who have figured what's happening with me, so when you're acting on stage or you're in training, a teacher will be watching you to be like, how come the expression isn't coming out a particular way, or how come you're being held back? Like, a good director is able to figure out how to tap into what an actress needs to do to get whatever needs to be expressed. The only teachers who could really do that for me were American teachers. American, because they knew how to work with actors of colour. In Australia, at least 10 years ago, that was not the case. I can look back now and see how much I was othered and how much I was expected to behave like all of the white students. My expression is not white, it's inherently Filipino, but I didn't know that because I was told I'm Australian because I was born and raised here. But in assimilating as a child, I just learned what parts of myself I had to hide, how my accent had to change. And through changing my accent was when I believe I couldn't sing as freely as I wanted, because the Australian accent is so behind. It's so kept here. And Filipino, I can't do it right now. I can do it when I'm with my family, but we speak out.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
And we emphasize. And my voice comes out and it feels so much more free and less restricted.
Yeah.
When I have to be Australian, and because when I speak like this, I get more respect, my whole body has to freeze up and tense. And so that affects you as you sing. It affects you as an actress. So I kept trying to act. I hated commercials because I could see how it was giving cliche performances just to please the director. Or like, if I ever tried to be myself or offer something that felt organic to me, they'd be like, no, that's too much, too intense, too angry. I was like, fuck this. Sorry. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, fuck this. And I gave up on acting, I think, just for a few years, like 2017. And then I went into yoga teaching. Sorry, this is a long journey to get to filmmaking. So I went into yoga teaching.
Yeah.
And that was healing for me because it taught me how to embody myself and not feel so restricted. Through yoga teaching, I also learned how to facilitate and hold space for others. That was 2018. I'm just going to fast forward to the pandemic.
Okay.
And I knew I still wanted to do some sort of filmmaking or make something in storytelling, but I knew I had to write it. I just wasn't motivated to. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write. I just want to act. And then 2020 happened. We had Black Lives Matter, and there was all this discourse around how people who assimilate have had to really censor and hide themselves to fit the white gaze. And that just woke something up in me when it came to why I felt held back with singing and acting and even just in society. And because of where I grew up in outer southeast Melbourne, and there is diversity, but compared to the West, there was so much more pressure to act in a particular way that relates to, I guess, the demographics of Southeast, which is a bit more privileged with money and wealth. And it's just this properness. Well, when I go to Footscray or like the West Side, there's so much more relaxed bodies I can see who are like, I'm not going to pretend to be like that, while it was really emphasized to me growing up that I had to be more like that. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Am I? Yeah. Okay.
I can relate to some of the stories. Yeah.
So, 2020, I was in the yoga world and I could see how much the yoga world was whitewashed. They were trying to follow these values of self-liberation, of care, and that was not happening. The wellness industry it's become this disgusting form of capitalism, where they've put this ideal white body as what we all have to be like. So especially in the yoga world, there's this pressure to perform yoga and not just do it. You see it with the Lululemon type branding.
Yeah.
And no one was talking about Black Lives Matter at the time. And it was such a big, it was at the forefront of social justice and advocacy at the time, and I couldn't understand why the people around me who preach about peace and love were not saying anything about it. And I ended up joining a decolonial mentorship, Eliana Tinia, in America. So we were doing it by Zoom, and it was just starting to unpack how much I'd been affected by assimilation and by way of the history of the Philippines, how colonization has affected how Filipinos view themselves. And then that went into, this is all the stuff that affects how I am as a performer when I feel like I've got white people looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is a big spiral discussion. I hope this is all making sense. So in 2021, the lockdowns happened and I was like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to film school. I decided like 3 days before enrolling.
Wow.
I was going to just do it because...
What made you decide?
I needed structure to do something. Like, I'd been wanting to write my own thing, but I was like, oh, I can't be bothered. I didn't have the motivation or push. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it. And SAE had a fast-tracked bachelor's degree. And I was really hesitant to do it because I was 33 at the time. And I was like, I'm not going to go back to uni. But it was because of the lockdowns and not knowing what was going to happen. I'm like, you know what? I might as well. Because how they sold it to me was that you have the chance to make 6 films. Yeah, every trimester.
Wow.
And so it was going to film school that got me into actual filmmaking and not just trying to learn it on my own. I actually got to learn, I guess, the processes of pre-production, all of like the camera gear and all of that, and what it actually takes to make a good film. And it's not something you can just pick up and do. Prior to going to film school, I thought I was one of those people that were like, yeah, we can get people to do this for free. We can get people to do the shooting for free. It's easy to, like, there was this belief that amateur filmmaking was easy to do. And it wasn't until I started film school that I'm like, no, to make a good film takes effort and you need commitment from everyone. And if it is free, you're not going to get 100% from everyone. Yeah. So going to film school where everyone was trying to get a degree was actually the best thing that I could have ever done for me to start building a folio of films. That's how I got into filmmaking.
Wow, that was a pretty long journey.
Yeah, I haven't even got into why I got into visual art. That's right. So I stopped acting. Yeah. And I just gave up on this idea of performing and I started painting. And because I didn't have to say anything or perform, I was able to find a practice that allowed me to be my artistic self without feeling judged. Yeah. So yeah, I also got in painting and illustrating.
You're very talented.
I hate when people say that because the only reason that I am is because I didn't get to sing right at the beginning. If I got to sing, I wouldn't have gone into acting or painting or yoga teaching.
But even if, like, let's say that you stayed with singing, I feel like you would still have that talent of, painting.
No.
But how did you discover that you can do those things?
I think, so when I wanted to sing, it was this wanting to tell a story. I didn't think it was storytelling as a kid, but I think the yearn and the want was like, I have something in me I need to express. Yeah. And because it wasn't happening with singing or acting, I started to just illustrate it. Because when I realized as I was painting and illustrating, the stories I wanted to tell, no one else was going to write for me. No one knew how to write.
Yeah.
And so I first started illustrating. So I was illustrating, I guess, stories or emotions or just something I wanted to share with the world. And yeah.
Well, I guess for me, what makes me think that, you're like very talented is because you're able to express yourself in different mediums. Yeah. Like not just singing or not just visual arts, but now you're doing filmmaking as well. So that's because, like, for me, I guess I didn't really grow up thinking that, I'm going to be like a creative person. Yeah. Like when I graduated in high school and went to uni, I did business. But even then, like looking back now, I remember doing some creative stuff myself. Like I used to do like parody music videos with like my friends, so it's sort of like my first experience in videography or filmmaking, because it's like crew and stuff. But back then, I never thought of it as being a creative person. I just thought, I'm just doing this for fun. Yeah.
I didn't think of it as being creative either. So I should share, I'm late diagnosed ADHD, which is a form of neurodivergence. And when I got that, everything made sense. Because I just thought I was a rebel, but I can't just do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have always resisted this idea to choose one path. Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you go about, because with the films that you're doing, how do you go about sort of using your, I guess, experience or background as a Filipino to, and formulating it into a story? Because for me, when I realized that, oh, maybe I could use filmmaking as a platform to share Filipino stories, I feel like I could only share, the experience that I know, and I felt a bit, I guess, scared, or maybe like I feel like I don't want to touch other people's experience, like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
I can only tell. I think I can only write stories that are mine. And then you get creative with coding it so people aren't like, oh, that's you.
Yeah.
You just make these creative choices so that it's not just an experience that you're relating to, but what other people relate to. Because in the end, I think as storytellers, we find a universal theme that a lot of people can relate to. So the film I just made, Flaccid, I am centering the stories of men, but through the female gaze. And a lot of men have resonated with it, the testing audience. And females have seen how I've written something from a female's perspective, but through the pre-production process and the creative choices I made in the script and how I told it on screen, has been me adjusting a story I wrote for a male audience. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And how do you go about, like adjusting it to a different kind of audience?
I think that comes down to being a child of migrants, because I've had to learn how to speak I call it code switching, but if your parents' first language isn't English and you're the first generation to figure out how to assimilate but also figure out how this society operates, you can kind of see where cultural clashes come from when, say, your mum is at the market trying to buy things but she's saying something in the wrong way. I've had to learn how to translate according to who I'm speaking to. And I think that's helped me with filmmaking, especially with directing, because I think Filipinos do this really well, adjusting to how the other person is to their... So we become so good at observing and analysing and seeing what we have to do to stay safe and not feel attacked.
Yeah.
And that's translated to me as an artist wanting a particular audience to resonate with my work. So that's even with art, and how I speak and write. That's also probably why I'm in marketing communications.
Yeah, tell me about that. How did you get into the marketing industry?
So I'm with MAV, Multicultural Arts Victoria.
Yeah.
Oh wait, how did I get into it first? So I've always been a bit of a wordsmith, and people would ask me to do freelance work for them. So I think that was probably from my visual art. And so I got into freelancing for social media, managing or coming up with a strategy to promote or advertise something. And I guess my first official job in that was working at the DAC Centre, which is a subsidiary of Sane Australia, and they're about mental health. They're a mental health organisation. So that was my first credit, I guess, and then I just worked my way into digital marketing. And Multicultural Arts Victoria, I got in as a digital media officer because of my design skills. But also, it was clear that I had a really strong social justice voice when it came to people of colour.
I feel like I could relate on some points that you were talking about earlier, because, well, the funny thing is, although I feel like I still sound very Filipino, especially when I'm talking to, like, Filipino friends or my family, or even if they're not Filipino, like people that I feel comfortable enough, I sort of let go and just use my, like, the most comfortable accent, which is, I guess, Filipino. But sometimes I catch myself speaking in a bit more of an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm talking to, like, white people.
I don't think it is not appreciated or acknowledged how much migrants have to censor themselves.
Yeah.
Just so that they're treated with respect. And that's what Yes Sir, Sorry Ma'am was. So I really wanted to explore this idea of Filipinos being really polite, so subservient, and like hard workers.
Yeah.
But what's the cost to us? And that's because when you hear Filipinos speak for me Tagalog, there is so much power, rage, and confidence that we lose as soon as you have to speak English.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to watch that happen to your family members who, when you see them at home, they're so full of life and richness, and that you see this full person. And as soon as they have to speak in English, I feel like you see a shell of them. And that's why I wrote Yes Sir, Sorry Ma'am. I wanted to show that Filipinos are actually they can be really rude and really angry.
Yeah.
We're not subservient or polite all the time. Yeah. It's something that we had to learn to survive.
Yeah. And I guess, how was it for you? Because you grew up speaking mostly English. I'm not sure if you were taught Filipino growing up, but yeah.
Hindi ko. Hang on, I can try. So I understand it.
Yeah.
It's the first language I ever heard. But for some reason, I don't want to say Mum says that I learned English from Sesame Street. But there had to be some sort of coercion for me to be just speaking in English. It was learned before I could remember to just speak English. But because I could hear my parents talking and I wanted to know everything, I can understand it. And there's some words, when I'm like trying to name an emotion, I'm like, it's this word in Tagalog. I can't think of the English one. Oh, I was trying to speak Tagalog. It's really hard. I can. Hindi ko, I don't want to try. Because it's like this split in my brain where one brain really understands it. But to try take it out to speak, it's like I'm constipated.
No, it's in Tagalog, there's some words you can't translate to English.
Yeah, there's no translation.
Yeah, but it's just...
unless you have a full sentence.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of when I want to say something, it comes in English first. I'm like, for me to try translate that to Tagalog, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Filipino grammar and the English grammar are different. Like, say, well, if you translate I don't know to hindi ko alam, they're pretty similar because I don't know. Oh, yeah, because like I don't know, I is like me.
Yeah.
Or ako.
Yeah.
And then hindi is like the don't.
Yeah.
And then alam is to know. So it's like hindi ko alam, ako, hindi ko alam, don't, I know.
No. Yeah.
But in English it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like I know, because I mean I'm part of a Tagalog club. We have yet to. Oh, you're in the Tagalog club too. Haven't you been invited?
Don't think so.
Okay, I will invite you to the next one, but I don't know when the next one is.
Yeah.
But there is a bunch of us who want to learn how to speak Tagalog because it is the language. It's our emotional language, because as babies, we would have learnt, like, my mum didn't. When my mum spoke to, I don't know if I'm going to make sense. Hang on. My emotional experience was named in Tagalog when I was a baby. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let me try. Okay. intindihan ko ang Tagalog, pero something usap.
Hindi mo kayang I don't even know how to translate it.
I think I know what it is.
I know
Can you say
I know what
it
you're saying in English.
Oh, okay. So, intindihan ko ang Tagalog, pero hindi kaya ko kausap.
Magsalita.
Magsalita,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah. So, see, I do know some words. Just it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you're talking to, someone like me whose native language was Filipino, I can understand you.
Great.
Yeah, it was just missing one word at the end.
Okay. How's my accent?
It's not Filipino
Okay.
accent, but I can understand
Hang
what
on.
you're saying.
What can I say into? Because I think I can put the Filipino accent on, and then people are like no.
How often do you go to the Philippines?
I was in Boracay. I say Boracay, right?
Boracay?
I was there in March. I used to go every year until I moved out of home, and then it was too much.
You need to stay in the province.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
for a month.
Yeah.
Just force yourself to go in a place where there's no tourists, where people speaking they still understand English, but they'll speak Tagalog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wish, because as soon as I speak English, they'll speak English back to me. I'm like, you can speak Tagalog
Yeah.
back to me. But yeah, my cousin just arrived this morning. She's here for 2 weeks because of work.
Yeah.
And I was trying to read her deep Tagalog. And yeah, it was very slow.
Yeah. I've actually got something
Oh yeah, sure.
that I wanted to do with you. I'm not going to make you translate it, but...
Oh yeah, sure. Oh no, let's try. This is fun.
Okay. Well, I was just going to make you guess what it was about. Because
Oh,
it's like unique Filipino movie or show titles.
Oh no.
I've only listed 3, but I was going to make you guess what it is about.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. Hang on.
I'll give you a story. I used to date a girl in the Philippines. This was back early then. My Tagalog used to be so bad. So I started going to the Philippines heaps. That's how I got my Tagalog back.
Yeah.
And I also learned. I also started understanding what's that called, the gay lingo. Because she
Yeah.
had,
AC told me about
because
that.
my ex had a lot of gay friends.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were talking about. I had to learn understand what they were talking
Yeah.
about, because I felt so out of the conversation.
Yeah.
So you just
Do they pick up you have an accent though?
Yes.
Oh, see? And that's hard because, where was I reading this? As soon as your parents migrate here, their culture in the their culture as a Filipino stops. So when they speak to me in Tagalog, it's Tagalog from the 70s. Like both my parents, their Tagalog has not evolved, because as soon as they stop living there, it stops evolving. So I remember it was 2002, my mum went over there and she was like, what's up with all the slang?
Yeah.
The slang, I don't know, I can't even pretend to be my mum.
But
she was so disappointed in the slang, and that when people are like, your Tagalog's really old, as in that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
I can totally relate to that. Like I feel like, because I went to Australia first around 2012, but I didn't really stay for a very long time until when we moved here in 2015. And it felt like after so many years, it felt like, the slang words that I know were old.
Yeah.
It's like they have new slang words that I don't know.
Yeah.
And when I would speak to my friends, I feel like I'm using the old slang words.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I need to update this.
Yeah. It wasn't in regards to Filipinos, but there was this discourse on Threads about how the diaspora needs to realize as soon as you leave, the culture has stopped for you.
Yeah.
And so what you're celebrating might not longer exist.
Yeah.
While the people who are still on the homeland, they don't want their identity to be hijacked by what the diaspora thinks.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, because then you've just become this diaspora identity. Identity is weird.
Yeah.
You
Well,
have to understand the Filipino culture. They pick up things from other cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
In Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do this later. I have a
No, I wanted
question.
to- oh, okay.
No, I just have a question
Okay.
because we were talking about diaspora and
Yeah.
everything. Because I'm from the Philippines. I grew up in the
Yeah.
Philippines. I just moved here,
Yeah.
as an adult. So my experience was like very different from yours. But you're sort of like learning the Filipino language and sort of like taking back that sort of Filipino-ness.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like some Filipinos were a bit what's a word, like I forgot the word.
Say it in Tagalog.
I know the English word, not the Filipino word.
Oh, okay.
Like they're sort of like gatekeeping.
Oh, it depends. I grew up in a really strong Filipino environment. Mm-hmm. Even though my parents, because out of safety, they told me to be Australian. Mm-hmm. I grew up having at Filipino parties every week. Mm. And so I guess my idea of Filipino identity is related to food, is related to... I don't know if we did some karaoke, but it wasn't super karaoke. And my relatives, especially when I was a kid and we went back, they'd be like, "You're Filipino." Mm-hmm. And that, it's really confusing growing up here, and if you're born here, because I was a kid, so I was born in 1987, and we were sort of I don't want to say we were the first wave of migrants, but we were probably the first chunk, a big chunk, to really solidify this Filipino community. And because we were that first chunk, there was this, like, you have to assimilate. And so for me I'm technically second generation because I was born here, but I want to say I'm the first generation to figure out what it means to be Australian. And as a kid, for me to figure that out, it's based on what everyone else is doing. I was 8 years old around the time Pauline Hanson became this big political figure. And so I didn't realise I was Asian until people would say ching chong, or they sorry, that's a trigger. They would make fun of me, and I had no idea what that was about because my parents just wanted me to ignore it. But I grew up with this distinct feeling of being other or alien. Have we gone off what you were asking me about? What were you asking me? Oh, what was it like? No?
I guess in terms of like, but that was a good point as well.
Gatekeeping. Got it.
Gatekeeping in terms of like fellow Filipinos.
So you kind of live in this liminal space of not being Australian, you're not being Filipino. So because the big chunk, because I just wanted to be Australian for so long, I didn't identify as Filipino. I'm like, I'm Australian, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was a teenager that accepting that I was that there was some pride to be Filipino, because I started to meet other people who were not white. So my experience when I go to the Philippines, I'm going to talk about, so the first time I went to the Philippines as a teenager, so not just as a kid, was when I could start to see there's a difference and a nuance. When I was 15 and I went to the Philippines, it was the first time I felt loved. So here I felt I was ugly because there was an ugliness, because I was used to racism. Well, I guess my experience of racism was about my physical appearance. It wasn't until I went to the Philippines where, like, people were like, "Oh my God, you're so tall. Oh, there's my accent." No, that's me making it up. That's me trying to imitate something. You're so tall, and I'm not. I don't know. Am I light? I don't think I'm light skinned, but I am. I was maybe when I was 15. There were aspects of my physical self that was celebrated, and I'd never felt that. I wish I had it, because it would have given me confidence. So I didn't have the gatekeeping thing until recently, until now, when because there's so much Filipinos of the diaspora, there's so much more loudness around it because of social media.
The Filipino pride.
Yeah, and it isn't until I'm on social media and I see Filipinos in the homeland going, the diaspora aren't Filipino, or like saying they're not Filipino. I think I see it more with Americans, not really Australians, that I'm seeing discourse around what it means to be Filipino.
Yeah.
I think I've just accepted I'm Filipino Australian, and that's unique to me. I'm not going to police what that means to anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yes, I get you.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, when I grew up in high school, I'm sort of in the same generation
Yeah.
as you. My sister's the same age as you,
Yeah.
actually. It's just, it was that the way for me. I feel like I wasn't Filipino enough for the Filipinos because I'm from the west side.
So yeah, no.
So it's like, I'm in high school, but there's like a group of Filipinos. They're my friends,
Yeah.
but I feel like I can't hang around them because I'm not Filipino enough. So I ended up hanging out with other Asians. So it's like,
Yeah.
but do I belong with these Asians? So it's like, am
Oh.
I Filipino enough?
No,
But
I
you
can
go
talk
with-
about that too.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
I can talk about that too. So I grew up with a Filipino best friend. I had who I'm still friends with. Hey Jill, I don't know. So she's Ilocano, and then I had another best friend, Harfi, and her mum was Visayan. So I always had Filipinos around me, but because we were from Southeast, we assimilated and became white together.
Became one.
Yeah, it is, and then it was. We became white. We honestly did, and it wasn't until high school where people started to, I guess, separate and become cliques based on. You had the Asians, but they were cool Asians, and cool Asians in the early thousands. They were mean girl Asians. I'm not a mean girl Asian.
Yeah.
And I was an arty kid Asian, and when you're arty in the 2000s, that was the weirdo. So I was like, I'm not going to identify as an Asian because you're Asian mean girls.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's now cool to be an arty Asian.
Yeah.
So we're alternative and cool. Yeah. So hang on, let me go back. So it isn't until I started meeting people from the west side that I was like, oh, I don't feel right because
like a different kind
I'm
of-
not Filipino enough.
Yeah.
I'm white. I've been told I'm white, and I'm like, I'm not white. It's just because of how I was raised or had to survive. And then when I go to the Philippines, I feel like I'm protected enough by my family to not get that gatekeeping. Like, my family is really encouraging of me to learn about our culture. Yeah.
Yeah. I think because, well, it's not all of the Filipinos would be gatekeepers. From my perspective, what I've seen is a lot of Filipinos would feel like, you know, again, the Filipino friend, like, oh, there's this Filipino Australian who's coming to Philippines, you know, that's so cool. She's from Australia. But there are some side of it where they would be like, oh, she's not, again, what you said earlier, like, she's not really Filipino.
Yeah.
Like, they don't understand what's happening over here.
I'm just now,
No.
like, getting flashbacks. Okay.
Okay.
So I think there's also this nuance of class
Yeah.
that I've become aware of too.
Yeah.
Because my family is fine with me and my family's friends when I go over there. But I've just now started to meet, and I hate saying this because I'm not classist, but I am aware of the privilege I hold because of my family doesn't live in Ayala. But they were supported enough by, like, we didn't come from the my dad came from the streets, but how do I say this? Where I've experienced gatekeeping and being told you're not Filipino are from people who perhaps have been oppressed by the privileged class. And so there's this, I don't want to talk to you because you think this of me, which is not, it's just this societal thing in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah, I
And that hurts because I'm like, I grew up here. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that system. But I've been told about the crabs in a bucket thing,
yeah.
you know?
The crab
Crab
mentality.
mentality.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Yeah.
And that is really hard to work around when someone has that deeply embedded in them because I've learnt not to have that mentality. We have tall poppy syndrome here. I just reject it. But I think when you're a privileged Filipino, and privileged in terms of being westernized, it's hard. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, want to do something fun?
Let's go. Yeah.
Just.
Yeah.
I've only got 3 written here, but I've got way more. I've got
Okay.
sources online if you want to keep going.
Speak to me in Tagalog.
Yeah. Okay, so pahuhulaan ka sa'yo.
Okay.
Cool. Do you want me to speak in Filipino?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I learned? My mum has a Filipino, she has an accent, and I'm not used to.
Cash, do you want me to speak Tagalog? Yeah,
What's
but
your
you speak
Tagalog?
Sure.
What's your Tagalog?
What do you mean?
Where's your fam from?
Bulacan. So like Luzon.
Oh, you should be speaking like the way my. Okay,
Yeah.
you do your Tagalog. I'll
Okay,
keep listening.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's where that's where my lelong's from.
where?
Bulacan.
Oh.
And Mum always said that that's the poetic land.
Yeah, because it's like, Bulacan is, like the
Can you
Tagalog.
speak with the Bulacan accent? Yeah. Okay, let's
Oh
go.
my god.
Please, I'd like to hear it.
Bulacan accent.
Oh,
I've never heard of this Bulacan accent.
I don't think I can without laughing.
I'll just try. Let's go.
I'll just speak with my neutral
Okay.
Filipino accent.
Pero,
We'll see if it comes
okay,
out.
Okay.
Okay, so meron akong list.
Uh-oh.
It's gonna be Taglish.
Okay.
Taglish. Because hindi ko kayang magsalita ng diretsong Tagalog, I think.
Uh-oh.
So, may list ako ng movie titles
Uh-oh.
in Filipino. And then, pahuhulaan ko sa'yo kung what they're about.
Okay.
Okay. So, the first one is ang babae sa septic tank.
There's a girl in a septic tank.
What is it about? What do you think?
There's a girl in a septic tank?
Wait, this
Ang babae sa
this is a
septic tank.
real movie title?
Yeah.
Hang on, say it again.
Ang babae sa septic tank.
So that's Taglish. There's a girl in a septic tank.
Yeah, that's
A girl
what
in
it
the
is in
sewage?
English.
Sewage girl in the gutter? I don't know. What am I trying to guess?
What do you think is the movie about?
About a poor girl?
Okay. What do you think, Jerome?
Septic. What is a septic tank? I don't even know what that
Like
is.
where the dirty water is.
Sewage.
Yeah.
Dirty girl?
A girl from the streets, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, I'm gonna read the synopsis
Okay.
for you. It's very I'll let you judge what
Okay.
it is.
It's a horror.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think is the genre?
Oh, genre. Oh.
So I immediately go to drama.
Mm-hmm.
Melodrama.
What do you think is the
I
genre?
was gonna go horror.
Horror.
Septic tank.
Yeah. Okay, well, the genre is comedy.
Oh, okay.
And so the synopsis is an actress decides to turn director and makes a film to serve her own ego. But her questionable judgment in, I'll do it in Philippine accent, in several key areas of the filmmaking process have the exact opposite effect.
Oh, so it's like a poetic title.
I guess.
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
So
Or
like
maybe, well, I haven't seen the entire film. I've only
Yeah.
seen some clips. But maybe it was the title of her film in the film.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean? Maybe. I don't know.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yep. Okay, there's another one. This is like a classic film. Isang bala ka lang.
One what? Say that again.
Easy.
No, wait, no. Wait, can you say it in a Bulacan accent?
Isang bala ka lang.
Isang bala ka lang.
That's how you would
Oh,
say
on
it.
Yeah,
your
that's
own.
how we'd say it.
On your own?
No.
No.
You're on your own? Okay, say it again.
Isang bala ka lang.
Oh, it's not Bahala?
No, bala.
Do you want me to translate?
Bala. Hang on, say it again.
Isang bala ka lang. Isang bala ka lang.
I only know one, and then kalang. I know. I don't know what the middle word is.
Bala is, what's a bala?
Bullet.
Yep.
Oh, one bullet for
So,
you.
so it's like saying it only takes one bullet to put you down, pretty much. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
You're only one bullet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See. I've never had to hear bullet. Okay, but yeah. Okay, cool.
Genre?
Drama. Because I keep
You always
thinking.
go for drama.
Well, is this like a movie that was referencing the war, the drug war?
I'm not entirely sure.
Action.
It is
Oh, an
action.
action?
Sounds like a
Okay.
Little Lapid movie.
It's
other guy.
the other guy. Hang on.
The dude, I forgot his name.
The original guy from Ang Provinciano.
Province.
Yeah.
Oh, Fernando Po.
Yeah. Fernando Po Jr. So the synopsis. Yeah, it's a classic.
I've probably
okay.
seen it. I know I've probably seen it. In
Yeah.
the Philippines, I don't know, sometimes.
So it's rated 8.7 in IMDb. The synopsis is Berting is convicted and jailed for 12 years for avenging his wife's death.
Oh,
So I guess drama. Yeah, actually, yeah, it says action/drama.
Yeah. Okay.
However, he swears to lead a peaceful life with his daughter once released.
Yeah, I've seen
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Next one is...
I want to try get one.
Okay. I like this one. Gagamboy.
I've seen this.
Hindi ko alam.
I've seen this.
Gagamboy.
Pick a genre. Imagine.
Pick a...
Comedy?
Spot on, kinda.
Not exactly. There is...
Comedy action.
Yeah.
Gagamboy, what does that mean?
Gagamboy.
It's a parody of Spider-Man.
Ah.
Do you know
what's a Gagamba? It's a spider, right?
Yeah.
Gagamboy.
See, I don't know spider. I know itik.
Itik is
like
duck.
A cricket? Is it?
No, it's duck.
No, it's a duck. Okay.
Yeah.
Ipis. I know ipis.
Ipis
is
is
a cockroach.
cockroach.
Because I got bit by one.
Oh my
But I've
god.
never had to hear the word spider in Tagalog.
Gagamba is spider.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and then
So
boy.
Gagamboy, we just put
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Got it.
Spider-Boy.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I-
it's considered as comedy
These things
action.
just...
It's Bong Navarro.
Yeah, do you want to see the costume?
Ridiculous.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. See, these things reveal the gap in Tagalog. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
I've only got 3, but do you want
Give me
more?
one more.
Alright.
Give me one that's a long title.
Okay. Hang on. Maybe like an R-rated Filipino movie because they've got funny titles. Hang on. I'll search ridiculous Filipino movies titles.
I remember when we used to... Was Dolphy a big movie star?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
like,
Mostly
Yeah.
they
comedy.
call him the comedy king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we used to... When we were younger, we'd go... When we were in the Philippines, we'd watch his movies.
Okay, I just found one. I don't know what this is about. It was...
I
Oh,
know...
I know for you. Tatay Nick.
Santa.
No, what do you think? What genre do you think it is?
Christmas?
No, what genre do you
Nick.
think it is?
You
Tatay
said
Nick.
Tatay Nick. So isn't that
Tatay
Father
Nick.
Nick?
No.
Maybe
I mean-
drama?
No.
Hindi ko
It's
alam.
comedy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be a parody of Titanic.
Ah.
It's
I don't...
Dolphy.
Oh, no, I don't...
It's like the Filipinos can only come up with these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it
what's-
have anything to do with being on a ship?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just him and his shit then.
Okay. Okay, so I found this list from the title of the article is 10 ridiculous Pinoy X-rated movie titles. So that's X-rated films. The first one is from 1987 and the title is Diligin ng Suka ang uhaw na lumpia.
Something about lumpia and vinegar. I mean, spring rolls and vinegar.
It's X-rated though, or R-rated.
Oh, okay. Is this like a sex movie?
Yeah.
Okay, totally.
It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, Patikim ng Piña.
Something about a pineapple.
They want to taste the pineapple.
Oh my god. Cashy! Okay, let's...
Well, I searched ridiculous Filipino movie titles and it's the first article
yeah.
that came up.
You know what I love about Filipinos is we're really crass.
Yeah.
We're really crass.
Okay, I've got action movies instead if you want.
Oh no, I think that's enough for now.
Okay. You've had a bit of a taste of those funny movie titles in the Philippines. I'm curious about what kind of shows, or because again I grew up in the Philippines, I grew up here. What kind of shows did you grow up watching here?
Oh, not Filipino.
Yeah.
What shows? Do you mean, like, okay, so when you say grow up, like how old are we talking?
Can be like, as a child or teenager.
Oh, I was pretty, well, we're pretty Americanized because, I'll honour Australian TV first. So mostly as a kid, because of ABC, we had like Round the Twist. Have you had Round the
Nope.
Twist? Okay.
I probably would have no idea what you guys are going to mention.
Yeah, Round the Twist was a big one as a kid, but ABC... So growing up, we only had 5 channels. It was ABC, SBS, 7, 9, 10. And there's channel 31.
Really?
Yeah.
Because now there's like hundreds of
Yeah, I
channels
know,
they can
and
choose
that
from.
freaks me out. But as a kid, we only had 5 channels.
Oh.
Unless you had Foxtel, which my parents did not. So growing up, most of the kids' shows were on ABC, which was Sesame Street, Play School, Round the Twist, if you're older. And they used to show, like, after school, a really good run of programs, which were mostly from America. So, like... Rugrats. And it would start off with, like, you know, your primary school age, and then it would eventually go up to your preteens. So, shout out to ABC. They gave us the entertainment with our 5 channels. I ended up getting Foxtel as a teenager. So, my media consumption was really American. And I'm glad it was, because at least America had diversity back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, because I was much more into music, everything I think I do when it comes to creativity is more influenced by music and not anything screen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Do they have like MTV channel here?
If you had Foxtel.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
You had to watch Rage.
Yeah, we had Rage.
Yeah,
I think there's still Rage.
Yeah,
until now,
so
yeah.
that was what I watched. Instead of MTV, I had Rage and Video Hits.
Yeah, it's channel 10.
Yeah, Rage was better because they showed the full video, they never cut it. And when I was older, I used to get up at like 3 a.m. to start watching Rage because they'd show all the hip hop that I loved. And what I used to do, this is showing my age, I can't believe I'm saying that now, but is tape them on VCR. And so I would watch, I'm so proud of this fact, I still have them. I have four videos, so 4 8-hour videos worth of music videos that I loved from 2000 to 2004. And I used to watch that as my entertainment. Yeah.
You know what I used to do something similar with like recording stuff. Like, but I mean, I could have downloaded it, like illegally downloaded it from YouTube, because that's what other people would do. We used to not have like a reliable internet, so I couldn't really download it from YouTube. So what I was do is, like, say when there's an anime playing on TV, and you know there's like opening and closing songs at the end, I would like record it from my phone and just put the phone next to the speaker, and that's how I would have a copy of that song from my phone.
That's so funny. I didn't get internet until 2001. My parents were a little bit behind, and that was the early days of the internet. So we didn't get YouTube till I was done with high school.
Oh, same. Well, probably mid-high school.
Yeah. So when I'm now just flashing back, when you're like, what shows did you watch? I'm like, oh, there'd be all the shows that I would make the effort to tape. So that would be your friends Buffy, Charmed, all the magical shows. And I would tape like the movies that they'd show on TV for me to watch again. My theatre in the States used to send us boxes of videos from America, so we'd get them before they were here. And I guess I grew up on a lot of Disney movies, Nickelodeon shows and stuff. Yeah, so that was the screen side of things. Yeah.
Shout out Buffy.
Buffy, yeah. Buffy, yeah. Really good.
Do you know the show H2O Just Add Water?
That was beyond me. So, that was... So I noticed as a later teenager, like Channel 9 and 7 had these kind of shows that were better quality. Oh, no, I remember watching shows, but, that was when I was already too old.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know that it was Australian. I used to watch it as I don't know, maybe year 6, 7 or early high school. And I loved it because there's mermaids in it. I love mermaid shows. And then I didn't realize that it was Australian because I think it was dubbed in Filipino. That's why.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't know, even if I heard the Australian accent, I would probably assume that it was like a British accent because I had no idea what Australian accent sounds like back then. And then when I moved here and I saw it on TikTok that it's this Australian show back then, the H2O, I was like, oh my god, that was Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you?
42.
Oh, I don't know. So when I was 12, specifically, there was a show on Channel 9 after school called Pig's Breakfast, and I loved it. It was about two aliens.
What's it about?
It was these two funny aliens, and they were dressed in, like, the set design was beautiful. They were in costume, like made up costumes. It wasn't like CGI or anything. It was about these two aliens that landed or crash landed in like the Channel 9 studio lot, and so everyone just thought they were.
What time was this on?
It was in 1999 at around 4 p.m.
How can I not know this?
Oh, but I think it was only on for like probably 2 seasons. But I remember my sister and I were into Pig's Breakfast. That was one.
That sounds like
I guess that was my H2O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was in BCE at that time, so.
Oh, you probably no.
Yeah. I didn't watch H2O, but I watched Ocean Girl. Do you remember Ocean Girl?
Yeah. So Ocean Girl, that was Channel 10.
Yeah.
Australia has really good. We've got a really good portfolio for children's shows.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, no.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is H2O considered as a children's show or more of a teen?
Well, it would
Like
fall under
teen old.
anything for under 18s, I think.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty PG.
Yeah.
Not really, but yeah. Well, there's mermaids and stuff.
Yeah. Ocean Girl, I remember. But I think I was just maybe a little bit too young.
There was some. It was a children's show, but it felt really serious.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
serious.
What was the show after it? Because I remember watching the credits. Anyway, there must have been a show after it that I would watch.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I'd always watch the end of the Ocean Girl credits.
She's swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they is it an actual ocean or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was like the story of that? Because with the
don't know.
H2O, they were like, they went into this blue lagoon, and there's like blue. Oh no, there's like this moon with superpowers, and then when the moon sort of aligns with the crater on top of the cave, it would like bubble up, and then because the girls were in there at that time, that's how they got their powers.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know what Ocean Girl was
I
about
don't
because
remember
it
what
seemed
the plot-
old.
I don't remember what the plot
They're just
was.
mermaids.
No, it was just one Ocean
Oh,
Girl.
there's only one.
It was just one Ocean Girl.
The only thing I remember in one episode was that she had a long lost sister that she found who had the same powers who could swim in the ocean. That's
So
the only thing I
it
remember.
felt too grown up for me.
Yeah, it felt so grown up.
It's a real because then there was also the original Heartbreak High, and that was I was too young for that. But that was on ABC, and that was that was good shows. I don't know why Australia. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm curious about this. What do you guys think of Neighbours? Because
growing up, I was a Home and Away girl.
Okay.
Because it's prettier. I don't know. It was just sexier. Neighbours was always daggy. But that being said, my dad was on Neighbours once as an extra,
Cool.
and I've been an extra on it too.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard it somewhere, some actor say that if you like as an Australian actor is like you always like they always have to go to like Neighbours as an like they become an extra in Neighbours as like sort of like not a standard but
I guess
like everyone's in Neighbours.
Yeah,
sort of,
especially because
like-
if you're from
Like everyone's
Melbourne.
been in Neighbours. Yeah. I didn't know that it was like Neighbours. Was it shot in Melbourne?
Somewhere in
Somewhere.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Nunawading. They've got
Yeah.
a full set. So Southeast again.
And
Yeah.
they lie to you. It's not actually called Ramsay Street.
Yeah.
Pine
Yeah.
Tree.
But Home and Away is not in Melbourne,
No,
is
it's
it?
No, it's in
Sydney.
Yeah.
And it's beach, so
Ah,
it
yeah.
feels more Australiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're both sort of like about family drama. Is that what it's about?
It's just a soap. I
Okay.
feel I'm like.
I don't-
It's just a soap, and it was always about Australian. Like it's an imposed. It's about Australian families. So I
Okay.
never felt like I was part
Yeah.
of it. And I have an issue, I guess, with Neighbours because when they did try to do diverse, it was all token and all cliche, and then they would eventually have to move those families out of the court because they weren't
never
popular.
stay.
They weren't popular.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so they always change like the families. I've got a lot of questions because I've never seen it. I just know it like
don't even bother. Don't even bother.
I just know it as like the shows has been running for a very long time in Australia.
Yeah, I think there's some cultural cringe around it because, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, your telenovelas in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can understand now. Yeah. Because I cringe at some telenovelas in the Philippines.
Yeah, they're both telenovelas, so
Yeah.
it's not something I feel like a snob that I'd be proud of.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, now that we're sort of heading towards the end of the episode, this is something that I always ask my guests is, what kind of sort of advice or message can you give to those who wanted to try and learn the Filipino language?
Oh, that's that. I don't know because I'm the I don't know. Learn it. I don't know, like because I'm someone who needs to learn it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'm inhibited by is when I do try to speak it, and Filipino natives will laugh at me. I'm over that now, but it's like just help us, please.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think just in general, if you're Filipino and a creative in Australia or anywhere else where you might be disconnected from the culture, have a look and see how that disconnection has affected your expression as an artist. Is it holding you back? Is there something you need to explore? Because the more I started to remove myself from the white gaze, or they talk about decolonizing, the better my art became.
So, and what are you sort of looking forward to in terms of, the creative world? Or what would you like to see more in the future?
I guess for the first time, I feel pretty chill. I used to hustle a lot, but now I feel like I can chill. And it's not like that I'm like a well-known person, but I feel pretty satisfied with my creative practice. I don't feel like I have to prove anything anymore. And that's not because I'm at a certain level, because I'm not. I'm emerging. But I think with more acceptance of who I am, but also acceptance of the fact that not all artists are going to be millionaires. I'm just like, I'm going to live life the way I'm comfortable with. So I've got my day job, which is in the arts and still related to storytelling. I don't have that, I don't want to call it desperation, but this yearn to make it. And by make it, I mean like Margot Robbie level. Like I'm creative no matter what I've done. I'm excited. So my film, Yes Sir, my film Yes Sir, Sorry Ma'am will be premiering at Acme with the Melbourne Women Film Festival.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a lot going on at work that I'm excited to do around advocacy. And then we'll see how my next film goes on the festival circuit. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree with you, what you said about sort of being chill about it and not sort of... It's not that you don't work hard for it, but you just... I guess for me, I'm just satisfied at what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm not gonna stop doing creative stuff, and I'm not gonna stop working hard for it. But I feel like it's also important not to feel too stressed about it, and be satisfied with what you currently have.
I think as a creative, you do have to find stability. And it took me ages to get there because my idea of success was you get an agent, you get put in a really awesome movie, you win an Oscar. No. I'm just going to keep creating and whoever resonates.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I hope you had a fun time having Kwentuhang today.
Yes.
Did you?
Sorry, I'm going to say it again. I hope everything made sense. You can email me if you need clarification on what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Well, it made sense to me, and I feel like I learned so much more because again, I feel like we've got different experiences. Like with our previous guests that I had, most of them, if not all, were Filipinos who grew up in the Philippines, who I can definitely relate with, but with you, you're like, we've got definitely different experiences that I'm learning about, and I wanted to learn more about, different people.
She's the first one that I can really relate to.
Yeah.
High five.
High five to both of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is, I guess, the point of this podcast, to share different experiences, and hopefully we can motivate other people to be creative as well, no matter what kind of background or journey you're into right now. Yeah, and yeah, I hope you had a fun Kwentuhang
Thank you. Kwentuhang.
creative podcast. Bye.
Bye.